On July 28, 2025, former President Donald Trump, having returned to the White House for a second term, makes a dramatic announcement that instantly captures the world's attention. Standing before a sea of reporters and flanked by American flags, Trump declares a sweeping 25% tariff on most goods imported from Canada and Mexico. The move, he claims, is designed to protect American industries and workers, and to address what he calls unfair trade practices by the United States' closest neighbors. The announcement is met with a mixture of applause from supporters and concern from business leaders and international observers. Almost immediately, the news sends shockwaves through global financial markets. Stock exchanges react with sharp volatility as investors scramble to assess the impact. On Main Street, American families begin to worry about the cost of everyday goods, as economists warn that the tariffs will likely lead to higher prices at grocery stores and retail outlets. Financial experts appear on news networks, cautioning that the ripple effects could be felt across a wide range of industries, from agriculture to manufacturing, and even in the service sector. Canada and Mexico, America's largest trading partners, respond with swift and decisive action. Within hours, both countries announced their own 25% tariffs on a broad array of American products, from agricultural goods to automobiles. The tit-for-tat measures escalate tensions and set the stage for what many fear could become a full-blown trade war, threatening the stability of the North American economy. In a surprising twist, the White House decides to temporarily pause the tariffs on Mexican goods, citing ongoing negotiations and the need to avoid further destabilizing the region. However, the standoff with Canada only intensifies as both sides dig in and prepare for a prolonged dispute. Behind closed doors, officials from both countries engage in tense discussions, searching for a diplomatic solution. Industries that have long relied on open borders and seamless trade now face immense pressure and growing uncertainty. Truck drivers, freight companies, and farmers watch nervously as shipments slow and costs rise. The agricultural sector in particular is hit hard, with perishable goods stuck at border crossings and export markets suddenly in jeopardy. Nowhere is the impact felt more acutely than in Idaho and Prince Edward Island, two regions whose economies are deeply interwoven through the potato trade. Farmers on both sides of the border inspect their crops with concern, unsure if they'll be able to sell their harvests or if prices will collapse under the weight of new tariffs. Local economies that depend on cross-border commerce brace for tough times ahead. The Trump administration frames the tariffs as a bold move to protect American jobs, revive domestic manufacturing, and rebalance trade relationships. Supporters argue that tough action is long overdue, and that the tariffs will force trading partners to negotiate fairer deals. But critics, including many economists and business leaders, warn that the policy could backfire, leading to job losses, higher prices for consumers, and retaliatory measures that hurt American producers and exporters. As the days and weeks unfold, uncertainty hangs over the continent. Economists debate whether this is a short-term negotiating tactic or the beginning of a damaging and protracted economic conflict. Shoppers, business owners, and workers alike wait anxiously to see how the situation will evolve and whether cooler heads will prevail before lasting damage is done. With North American trade relationships hanging in the balance, the stakes have never been higher. The decisions made in the coming weeks will shape the economic future of the United States, Canada, and Mexico for years to come. Idaho is on the front lines of the trade dispute, with Canada and Mexico as two of its largest export markets. The new tariffs threaten to raise prices on groceries and essentials, destabilizing the state's economy. Idaho's potato, cheese, and pork industries remember the pain of the 2018 trade war and fear this round could be worse. Despite past resilience, Idaho's prosperity is tied to open trade with its neighbors. The tariffs jeopardize jobs and investments, leaving businesses and families in limbo. Idaho's leaders are watching Washington, hoping for a swift resolution. In Prince Edward Island, the rolling fields of rich red soil have long been the heart of Canada's potato industry. Generations of families have worked these lands, turning the island into a global powerhouse for potato production. But now, a storm is brewing over these peaceful farms. The recent imposition of a 25% U.S. tariff is a gut punch to potato farmers who depend on the American market for their livelihoods. For many, the U.S. isn't just a trading partner, it's the lifeline that keeps their businesses afloat, and this sudden blow has left them reeling. Randy Visser, a leading grower and respected voice in the community, says the tariff could wipe out already thin profit margins, threatening the survival of family farms that have been passed down for generations. Around kitchen tables across the island, families are anxiously crunching numbers, wondering how they'll make ends meet. The industry is still recovering from the devastating 2021 export ban caused by potato wart, which left warehouses full and bank accounts empty. Just as hope was returning, this new crisis has struck, making the path to recovery seem even more daunting. The Potato Board is mobilizing quickly, working hand in hand with government officials and industry leaders to assess the damage, strategize responses, and fight for the survival of the island's most important crop. Meetings are tense, but determination runs deep. With most of their crop destined for the U.S., the tariff threatens to unravel generations of cross-border trade and cooperation. Every truck stopped at the border is a reminder of how fragile these economic ties can be. For these family-run farms, it's not just about business, it's about preserving a way of life, a heritage built on hard work, resilience, and community. Children help their parents in the fields, learning the same lessons their grandparents once did. The fear is real. The future of their families and entire rural communities hangs in the balance. Every decision made now could shape the destiny of Prince Edward Island for years to come. The humble potato, once a symbol of stability and abundance, is now at the center of an international crisis, its fate intertwined with the hopes and dreams of an entire island. The US and Canadian potato industries are deeply intertwined, not rivals, but partners. A tariff disrupts this supply chain, hurting both sides. American processors rely on Canadian potatoes, especially for specialty varieties. U.S. distributors and grocery chains could face shortages and higher costs, threatening jobs and profits. Retaliatory tariffs from Canada would only worsen the pain for American exporters. Years of cooperation and specialization, Idaho's russets, PEI's chip potatoes, are at risk. Modern trade is a web of cross-border supply chains. Damage to one link ripples through the system. The economic fates of both countries are tied together. A trade war here means everyone loses. Negotiators are racing to prevent lasting damage to this vital partnership. The tariffs mean higher prices for consumers on both sides of the border. American families will pay more for potatoes, chips, and fries from Canada, while Canadian shoppers face costlier U.S. goods. The price hikes extend beyond food. Lumber, appliances, and produce are all affected. Economists warn this political decision will hit household budgets hard, fueling inflation. The burden falls on ordinary people, not politicians. Retaliatory tariffs create a vicious cycle of rising costs and economic hardship. Trade barriers meant to protect industries end up punishing the public. The real-world result: higher living costs and diminished economic security. The cost of this trade war is paid at the checkout counter. As the U.S. trade war escalates, Canada finds itself at a crossroads. For decades, the Canadian economy has been closely tied to its southern neighbor, with the majority of exports heading straight to the United States. But now, with tariffs rising and uncertainty clouding the future of North American trade, Canadian leaders are forced to rethink their strategy and look beyond traditional partners. In a bold move, Prime Minister Mark Carney steps onto the world stage to announce a sweeping new economic partnership with a coalition of Asian nations. This isn't just a symbolic gesture, it's a concrete plan to reshape Canada's economic future, opening doors to some of the fastest-growing markets in the world. The multi-billion-dollar deal promises to unlock vast new opportunities for Canadian businesses. From natural resources to advanced technology, and especially in agriculture, Canadian goods will now have access to millions of new consumers across Asia. This diversification is designed to reduce Canada's heavy reliance on the U.S. market, making the economy more resilient to external shocks. For industries like Prince Edward Island's iconic potato farms, the Asian market could become a lifeline. While it won't happen overnight, the potential for growth is enormous. Farmers and exporters are already preparing to meet new standards and preferences, hoping to carve out a lasting presence in these emerging markets. Recognizing the challenges ahead, Ottawa is stepping up with a comprehensive support package. This includes funding for market research, export training, and logistical assistance, all aimed at helping Canadian businesses, large and small, adapt to the demands of international trade. The government sees this as a crucial investment in the country's long-term economic resilience. The timing of this pivot is no accident. By forging new alliances and expanding its global reach, Canada is sending a clear message to Washington. It will not be held hostage by trade disputes. Instead, Canada is asserting its independence and demonstrating that it has real alternatives on the world stage. This strategic shift not only strengthens Canada's position in future negotiations, but also signals a broader commitment to a diversified, globally integrated trade strategy. By building relationships with a wider range of partners, Canada is laying the groundwork for a more stable and prosperous future. Of course, the pivot to Asia is not without risks. It's a high-stakes gamble that will require patience, investment, and adaptability. But for many Canadians, it's a necessary step to ensure the country's long-term prosperity and to secure a place in the rapidly changing global economy. As the global trade landscape continues to evolve, one thing is clear: Canada is determined not to be left behind. By embracing new opportunities and forging new partnerships, the country is charting a bold new course for its economic future. On Prince Edward Island, potatoes are more than a crop. They're the heart of the economy and the soul of the community. About 175 family farms anchor a $1.35 billion industry, supporting thousands of jobs. Over 40% of fresh potatoes and nearly half the crop go to the U.S. A 25% tariff is a direct threat to their survival. The impact would ripple through trucking, processing, and supply businesses, endangering entire communities. This is about more than economics. It's about preserving a way of life and a proud heritage. The Potato Board and local groups are fighting to protect their future. For islanders, this is a battle for their homes, history, and identity. The outcome could reshape the province for generations. Facing U.S. tariffs, the PEI Potato Board urges Canadians to buy local and support their farmers. The Buy Local campaign aims to offset export losses by boosting domestic demand. It's a call for national unity, reminding Canadians that their choices can sustain rural communities in crisis. By choosing PEI potatoes, consumers help protect jobs and preserve a vital industry. The campaign is about more than sales. It's about pride, resilience, and solidarity. In a global trade war, local action can make a real difference. Canadians are being asked to stand with their farmers, one bag of potatoes at a time. Behind the headlines, real people are caught in the crossfire: farmers in Idaho, truckers and PEI families on both sides of the border. Decades of cross-border integration are at risk, threatening jobs and livelihoods. The tariffs disrupt fragile supply chains, creating chaos and uncertainty for businesses and workers. For border communities, the conflict hardens lines that were once invisible, turning partners into adversaries. The fight for PEI's potato industry is about heritage and survival, not just economics. The human side of this story is anxiety, resilience, and hope for a return to cooperation. Leaders must remember what's truly at stake: the lives and futures of ordinary people. The goal must be de-escalation, stability, and a renewed partnership between two nations bound by more than just trade.